in the chat. I see Martin here. Awesome. And let me know with the thumbs up. So I'm on the road today. I thought I'd do Tesla Talks, an episode of the OSO impromptu Tesla Talks on the road. I was charging car. I had a doctor's follow-up appointment from last week today. But let's talk stock market. Let's talk Tesla. Oh, hold on. I just realized I have my video playing on of the car. Okay, pause it. So let's talk a lot of things. First thing, I want to just make an announcement. Tomorrow, I will be interviewing Dan Ives. I don't think it'll be live. It'll probably be pre-recorded. I'll probably send out the first draft of the copy over privately to Patreon members. So shout out to you guys. And then I'll probably have it published for Friday, is my guess. Chadwick, how's it going? Yoris? Yes, we're going to talk about macro in just a hot second. So that's good news in and of itself. But man, what a bloody day in the stock market. Nasdaq was down 5% today. Tesla was actually, I hate to say it, but it was outperforming relatively strong, only closing down 7.5% today. I want to take that back because it just sounds so dumb. But anyways, the point here is stocks like Apple, for example, and you know what? This is something that I think about often with like I look at volume as well, and I look at stocks like Apple during the first part of the crash, if you want to call 2022 the kind of tech crash time. We weren't really seeing a lot of weakness in stocks like Apple, right? They were kind of cash havens for Palantir, Tesla, Zoom, Teladoc, not to bunch all these stocks together, but in a growth portfolio, those stocks were getting hammered disproportionately so, and then Apple was still like only down 1% or 2%. Now what we're seeing in the last couple of weeks is, and by the way, let me know where you're tuning in from, city, state, country. I'll read off a couple here in a second once I finish my thought. But now what we're seeing is stocks like Apple get crucified. Apple's down as much as the Nas, well, a little bit more than the Nasdaq, almost 6% for the day. You don't really see stocks like Apple go down as much as they are, which almost makes you want to think that we're probably near the bottom of the selling at this point. Hopefully I'm right. Hopefully it doesn't age like milk. But man, the next 3 months is going to be tough. However optimistic I am, considering all the repercussions of the Fed and quantitative tightening. So we got a lot going on. Let me read some comments here while we're live. How's your ECG rating? Yes, ESG rating. Yes, we're going to talk about that in a second, Josh. What a nutbag news story to wake up to that. Wallen says, when's the crash over? Hopefully today, but I mean, maybe the next 3 months. Hello from Detroit Media. How's it going? Maybe Martin says Shanghai is killing us. Okay, well, I don't know if it's Shanghai anymore as much as it's macro. Remember, so here's kind of just like the elevator pitch synopsis, if you want, of the Fed's problem. The Fed has to increase rates to boycott and to cool down inflation. They have to. But if inflation is the number one priority, and you look at the GDP, if you look at the Atlanta Fed now GDP now growth estimates for quarter two, it was a little bit over 1. Now it's a little bit over 2. It can come back down in the next couple of weeks. If you're close to that 0% growth, that negative territory of GDP growth, and you're raising rates in that environment, you're killing any demand, any labor market surplus you may have had. And so now you're essentially cutting off your hand to eat it, so to speak. So if they continue raising rates, demand goes down, we're in a technical recession for quarter two, or in quarter two at the end of it, let's say, then does the Fed do a 180 and the Fed goes, okay, look, now we're in a recession. We can't be raising rates in a recession long term. That can't be our strategy here. And then does the Fed just basically do a U-turn and start lowering rates? So this is the mess that the whole economy is in. And this is what happens when you print as much as money as you've done. Or not me or you, but the Fed. Accumulating, how's it going? Roger from South Carolina, appreciate that. Vincent says, every day it seems like a new worst day since. It definitely feels like that. This market is... What this market is missing for, and I don't welcome this. I don't say this in a way that I'm inviting it. Hopefully I'm not. But we're not at that point of there's been like this huge headline covering negative financial story. There's other than that, I mean, the stock market drawdowns that we've seen to start this year are unprecedented. but we haven't seen that climax moment of Bear Stearns or Lehman Brothers. And I'm not saying I want that. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying we just haven't had that. But absent of that, it's been like 2008, 2009. I mean, very loosely speaking. Um, we won't see any kind of reversal until August earliest. Quarter two numbers will be ugly, says Mania. Yeah. Quarter two numbers will be ugly. The question is, what's the street pricing in? Salah, how's it going? Remember when everyone said this year's sell-off would be different and we'll rally harder than ever? Jokes. Yeah. Well, that's the thing is no one thought the Fed would. No one thought for. Well, okay. Well, I can't say no one thought. The problem was that everyone was like, how is the Fed going to raise rates as much as they want to in a weak economy? So that was the problem. And the Fed was like, screw it. We don't care. We have to. And then on top of that, the really big wild card of 2022 was China's zero COVID strategy that came as kind of a second Omicron punch to the economy. So let's see where this goes. Okay, so let's talk about a couple things. Let's talk about macro. Let's talk about the ESG ratings. Stuff that came out this morning. So if you didn't hear, Tesla is no longer a part of the S&P ESG index anymore. That's essentially, it stands for environmental, sociological. It's essentially it's an index for how friendly companies can be towards certain green movements, right? And so Tesla lost some points based on their handling on the autopilot accidents with the NHTSA probe last year. They lost some points for that racial lawsuit. And then their low carbonation points because of their low carbon output or their high carbon. I couldn't even understand. It didn't make any sense because if you look at the list, Exxon is quite literally in the top 10. It's stupid. Let's see here. Yes, exactly. What Mimi says, why do we care about the list that includes Exxon? That's kind of the thing. Elon's having a Twitter tirade, of course, with, hey, look, the ESG is stupid. The left is coming after me. All this. There's more friends to be made than enemies, or there's more enemies to be made than friends that way. But even Martin, CFO of Tesla, tweeted that out today. Brad says, company that was created to decarbonize its industry was kicked out of the index for not having a carbon plan. There we go. Thank you, Brad. Such blatant market manipulation. Well, look, okay, actually, I tweeted this out. I failed to mention this right now. So on the surface, it doesn't matter, right? I don't think anyone really cares about the index if Tesla's not in it, let's say. Of course, we care about decarbonization and certain movements. But the real thing here to watch out for on a short-term trading basis, at least I'm going to close my windows here as the truck passes by. The real thing to watch out for here is if you're a private fund and you have a criteria internally that you have to have, you will only invest in companies as a part of the index. Well, then all of a sudden, if you're invested in Tesla, which is one of the most green-friendly companies in the world, actually helping to push the green agenda, well, then now maybe you can't invest in Tesla. And so that was something this morning when I woke up to. I really had thought, okay, well, Tesla obviously is going to see a major drawdown today, and we saw that, but not really to the respect that maybe we probably should have seen, especially with the volume. And there's no way to tell for sure because private funds will always stay private and they have internal criteria that we may not ever be privy to. But that's something to watch out for in the next week. If all of these funds have to by order of the book, order of their criteria, order of their fund rules, their criteria, have to sell Tesla stocks. That's another black eye that we have to watch out for in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully. I don't even know what to say hopefully on that because it's just kind of a shit show. Good to see you again, Salah, as well. Sweden, California. Yes, exactly, Tim. Mimi says they didn't have a plan for lowering carbon. WTF, Tesla does nothing but lower the carbon footprint. That's the thing. Yes, this is my car. Someone says they want me to turn it around. Here you go. I've turned it around for you. Hopefully my audio is okay. Man, I'm burning up. I look like a tomato in here. It's so hot. Let me open some of the windows up. Okay, let me read some comments here. Well, I mean, look, that you can make the argument with Bill Gates and Tesla coming after, or Elon. See, this is another conversation we were having, not to get too off track. Elon is essentially Tesla, right? So when Elon comes out and says something, it is attributable back directly to Tesla, one for one. So anyways, but when Elon came after Bill Gates, I guess the wise people probably that were screaming from the tops of the roof saying, you don't come after Bill Gates without there being some sort of retaliation on Wall Street. Man, so Steve from Hermosa, good to see you, Steve. Thank you, Boba. Olympia, Washington. Digital says 92 degrees Fahrenheit in California. It's not hot here. It's not, you're right. It's not hot in Vancouver. I mean, look, the weather's pretty decent. The weather's decent. But you're right. But in the car sitting here, it's burning up. I'm wearing a sweater. So yeah. Thank you, Brad. I'm hanging in. Edward, thank you for being a member for 8 months. Appreciate that very much. Gio says, do you think we even go lower at this rate? The real question with that is, do I think macro go? I think there is more. Well, I guess it depends on our timeline of that. It depends on our timeline. If we talk in the next 3 months, 6 months, really hard to tell. But even if now, because of the drawdowns that we've seen, if we talk even a year out, it's hard to see how there's not disproportionate upside in almost all cash producing, earning producing equities out there, tech or otherwise, or consumer discretionary. Even with a recession, even with a recession, you gotta think a lot of the recession is probably baked in. That's not to say we don't see headlines that kind of consume us. But just when you think you know what the market's going to give us, the market has a way to humble us, right? And this is the conversation that we've had on the channel, even close to like all-time highs. When people come on, they're like, well, Tesla's never going below 1,000 again. And I had Emmett Peppers on, shout out to anyone that remembers that stream. And Emmett's saying like, look, there's always a chance Tesla can go back under 1,000. Like anything's possible. The market has a way to humble us. No truer words have been spoken. So 30 degrees in Germany. Wow. Tip says gas prices are literally forcing people to ask me about ordering Tesla every day at work. Which Tesla would show order trends with gas hikes? That's a great, idea. I think in the last shareholder deck, they had something similar to that with the Super Bowl, of course. But look, let me know in the comments, folks. People saying, look, they all want to buy, everyone wants to buy an EV, not just the Tesla. Tesla has really long wait times. Teslas are getting expensive, and I'll have a different video about that. David, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Appreciate that. Thoughts on why Tesla doesn't build a chip fab? Chip fabs are very capital intensive, take many years. I'm not a chip expert, don't pretend to be one. Maybe I'll ask Dan Ives that tomorrow. But to my knowledge, someone correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, to my knowledge, isn't there a chip fab 10 miles away from Giga Austin now? I think Samsung built like some factory. Someone correct me if I'm wrong on that, but it was like within a 10-mile radius around Tesla Giga Austin. There's now a chip fab in production. Optimus says, does the removal of Tesla from ESG mean that it's also removed from the Tesla S&P index as well? No. If so, would that create more volatility? No. If Tesla was all of a sudden excluded from S&P from the S&P index, big problem. That would be a big problem to the stock price for sure. But that's not what's happening here. Rodfather says you have to make a lot of chips in order to be viable, way more than Tesla will ever need. Interesting point. There we go. It's 40 minutes away. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. 40 minutes away, the chip fab. And that's Samsung, is that? And that's from Austin. Right. There's a Samsung chip factory in Taylor, maybe 30 miles away. Okay. Thank you, folks. Appreciate that. So it's it's just been, this market is stupid in a lot of ways. But again, the market doesn't care what I think, doesn't care what you think. The market, for the most part, is run by big institutions that have a large amount of money that, for the most part, control the market. And with quantitative tightening, they're taking away. We're not seeing rotation in the market right now. Brad, wow, $50 super chat. I appreciate that, my friend. Just go have a beer and enjoy the day. Brad, you're awesome. I appreciate that very much. Thank you, my friend. Just go have a beer and enjoy the day. I feel like this is one of those days for sure. I actually wasn't planning to go live, but I've been telling you guys how stupid busy I've been in the last month, 3 or 4 weeks, especially 3 weeks especially. And I realized I didn't make a video on the weekend or Monday, Tuesday. So I was like, I got to go live today. Dan Ives is coming on tomorrow. If you have any questions, by the way, for Dan Ives, feel free to toss them in the chat. Shoot me on Discord if you're part of the Juju gang, or on Patreon if you have that, or if you're a channel member, just throw it in the comments. And I'll try to ask as many as I can get in. But again, that'll be pre-recorded, is what I'm thinking. And then I'll have Tesla economist Lee on the channel as well next week. Lee graciously told me, hey, do your thing with Dan, because I don't have a time locked in yet, and he was supposed to actually originally come on. So accumulating says I picked up another share at 7.15 today. For a second I read 175 and I was like, whoa. But I mean, you know what's, it's kind of decent is, like, here in Canada at least, we have the ability, if you're Canadian, check out just Google Neo CDRs. And a lot of these tech stocks are US based, of course, US stock exchange, but you can actually buy into them with Canadian dollars, and they're hedged against the US currency. And that's what I've been doing, just DCAing for a lot of companies, a lot of stocks. The only downside I realized that now that I have my TSFA, which sucks, because I can't just sell and then I'd kind of be trading there, is that there's no options. That's the only sad part. No, these aren't Sony's. These are Sennheiser. I think these are garbage. Oh, I'm only using these. Is my audio okay? Let me know in the comments. I'm only using this because the audio from the car when I connect Bluetooth sucks. Okay, so let's talk about leaps. Normally when you see big drawdowns, I'd be tempted to convert equity into options premium, and perhaps that is the move here. But just with the Fed macro backdrop and the prolonged Q2 print that's still yet to come in the next couple of months, I'm just not sure. I'm not sure if we see that huge vertical melt up rise again. Well, not again, but in the next immediate future. That's why I'm not tempted to convert into a massive amount of leaps, at least right now. Let me know if I'm wrong. I'm open to taking feedback to that. But that's just my thoughts here. And to be honest, I've been trying to optimize for mental sanity in the stock market a little bit more, which has got me just with straight common shares and not dabbling with options. I think I told you guys in the last couple of months, I've just, for the most part, just converted into common shares because just too much of a headache for some points. And maybe I'm going to turn that back around. So Hadouken's audio is good. Awesome. Appreciate that, Hadouken. Farzad, how's it going? I saw your stream. I was actually just driving when I was watching your stream, and I was gonna stream, and then I was like, no, I don't need to stream now, because what I was trying to do, I was trying to hook up the phone to the car, okay, and then stream as I drive. But I feel like that's probably a little bit distracting. Farzad says, ask Dan Ives on my behalf what he thinks Penn State's football record is going to be this year. Football is a sport, American football, a sport that I don't watch at all. Almost zero. Josh says leaps are still a bit expensive, getting close to buy zone though. I'll keep an eye out. Ken says thoughts on Elon and his political Twitter comments today. Folks, you guys know, like, I think, and by the way, this is coming from me, that I used to love politics. I used to follow every intimate detail of, especially U.S. Politics, every little single thing, parties, debates going on, news cycles.
in the last X amount of years, I'm over politics for the most part. We need a great reset of politics in the world. Everything is just gotcha journalism. Everything is finger pointing. Everything is distorted to make people look worse than they are, better than they are. I just hate it. And this sucks because I'd imagine a lot of people, especially my generation, feel the same way about politics. And what we have to remember about politics is that the people that we really need running politics will never run politics because they can never be paid enough to do so. And the people that run politics, for the most part, they get into it for the right reasons. Not all of them, but most do. But then they realize how grueling politics can be, and how lame it can be for the most part. So I hate it. So back to Elon's thoughts. Elon has the free speech to say whatever he wants. Who am I to tell him she should shut up? Who am I at all to really advise anyone to what they want to say? Do I like the comments? I just think, again, finger pointing gets us really nowhere. Generalized statements about people get us nowhere, don't progress us forward. That's not to say everyone's perfect and I don't say stuff like that when I shouldn't, but yeah, I don't see the connection here really with Tesla. And yeah, maybe institutional investors don't love it, but really, I think they know. I think they've already discounted for key man risk with Elon already. So I don't think that's affected Tesla stock price today. Let's see here. It might be a little bit distracting, yes. Digital says the market's down 4%, Tesla's down 7% because of Elon. Yeah, exactly. Remember, beta of 2, multiply by 2, you're right, Digital. So, A says, getting sick of the Fed coming out every week to crash the markets. Yeah, look, I mean, the Fed's job owning, and like I tweeted this out yesterday, right? I said the Fed comes out every other day, says the same shit, and the market throws a temper tantrum. It makes no sense. Okay, so thank you, Michael. Cindy as well. Martin says it's certainly a waste of time if you're not actively involved. Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like, honestly, I even had I this is back in the day, right? This is like 4 years ago. No, like 5 years ago, 6. I had a YouTube channel that I started where I would do political commentary about news. It's dead. It's buried in the water. But like, I just loved it. And then there became a point where it was just like, it's just non-productive. It's reality TV on steroids that actually affects our daily lives. That's all it is. Nima says there is options for TSLA level 2 options except from Syria. Nima, thank you. No, that I know. But what I'm talking about is if you like Google Neo CDRs, you'll have like a Canadian version of Tesla stock, a Canadian version of Facebook, blah, blah, blah. Those CDRs don't have options on them. That's it. So that's what I'm saying. Blurry video, by the way. Sorry. Yeah, I'm on data. Hopefully I don't kill my data too much. Wow, I've been on 25 minutes. This is dope. Hey, thanks everyone for joining on such short notice. So, Farmer says Bezos is starting to post funny comments on Twitter. Is this a PR move to convince the poor not to eat the rich in the next recession? Look, I think Bezos realizes that as a billionaire, you can be, you could be a low-key billionaire or you could be Elon. There's different levels of billionaireship. And who's to say Bezos, newly single, doesn't want to create that new persona around him? I mean, for the most part, Bezos doesn't have a super hotshot persona around him. We know Bill Gates really doesn't. More of a boomer mentality there. But I think he's trying to go Elon's route and trying to create like a brand, more of a brand behind him. And I know I say that he's a billionaire, everyone knows who he is, talk about brand, but I think he's just trying to be more involved in the public discourse. I have no problem with that. He actually had some pretty good tweets. Like he replied to Bernie Sanders saying something about inflation and taxing the rich and all this stuff. And Bezos was just like, look, like this is stupid. So Daniel says, thanks for clearing up. Tesla was not removed from the S&P. It came across for me this morning for some reason. Well, I think the articles, the way that they were written, were like Tesla is removed from the S&P's ESG index, right? So I guess if you're glancing, you could think that, but no, Tesla is still part of the S&P 500 fund and tracking funds and all that sort of stuff. Unless I miss some big news. But no, I mean, we would see, I don't even know what we would see, but we'd probably see a massive drawdown if that actually happened. Potato Cam is alive and well. Is it that bad? Oh no, I hope it's not that bad. Digital says thoughts. We're midway through quarter two. Our fund managers trying to move losses to this quarter to raise quarter three. I think managers don't know how the supply chain is going to ease up and when. That's a conversation I'm going to have with or I hope to have with Dan Ives tomorrow. So Brad says next big bump is a stock split or quarter three. Don't remember which one comes first. Well, AGM, the annual general meeting for Tesla, is August the 4th. It can't happen before then. So let's say plus a month after annual general meeting for the stock split. So that gets us into September-ish. But okay, tell me if I'm wrong. If you disagree, let me know. I almost feel like if there's any more bad news, let's get it over with. It's like going to the dentist. Your mouth is already numb entirely. You can't figure your tongue. You're already slobbering all over the place. Doc, if I've got 4 more cavities, get all the bad news out today. Like, you know, if Elon wants to do XYZ more stuff, or if, you know, the ESG news came out today, anything else, just come out this quarter, get it done with, get it over with. That's kind of where I'm at with everything. Because quarter 4 of this year is still, I mean, with the ramp in Berlin and Austin, and, you know, who knows how slow that's going. Quarter 4 should be a really big tell into the next leg of Tesla's growth story, because by then the 4680s will actually have some sort of meaningful production, I think. Wolfgang says regarding Tesla, I feel like we're in 2017 till 2019, FUD and misinformation all around. Well, 2 years. I mean, 2017, 2019, I think we had a hiccup in 2018 in the markets, but for the most part, they were bull cycles. You know, if we are in a bear market, and technically speaking we are, but if we're in a continual bear market with deleveraging going on, how long does that last? I mean, if the recession comes quarter 2, does it stay for quarter 3? Does the Fed have to again lower rates? Does that bring more quantitative easing? This is why it's so hard to project anything at the moment, because up until inflation comes back down, nothing kind of fits squarely anywhere. Jonathan says disinflation was set once we had a pandemic. Could have been way less severe though. Well, I think remember, inflation is a derivative metric. It's something that you look at year over year, month over month. Once you're at elevated levels, unless the second derivative of that is also positive, it's hard to accelerate the growth of inflation. So I think we're near, despite everything, I think, like I said in the beginning, actually Farzad, if you're here on Farzad's channel, go check it out. I was actually on his channel, and one of his rapid fire questions was, do you think inflation comes down? I think it comes down to like 4% by the end of the year. So I guess we'll see. Martin says, do you think Kapadia will make his grand return at the AI meeting? I didn't even talk about the AI meeting. Thank you, Martin. AI Day 2 is coming up middle of August. I forget what date it is. Someone throw it in the comments for me, please. AI Day 2 is coming up. Everyone thinks it's about Tesla bot. It's probably about Tesla bot. I hope it's about robotaxis and the FSD beta going into wide release by then. Fingers crossed, but expectations low on that. But Kapadia is already back, to my knowledge. I think he said so on Twitter. Maybe says, thanks for going live. Always good thoughts. Quarter 4 should be fantastic. Just hope they can get the 4680 production going. Maybe, well, first of all, thank you. 4680s, to me, that's really the next step. And that's really why I wanted to talk to Lee from Tesla Economist again and catch up with him. Because, and I don't want to throw out some bad juju at all or anything like that, but the 4680s are just so pivotal to Tesla's next year's growth story. I'm not going to throw a bad juju out there, so we'll see. But really, that 4680 puzzle really just has to fit in by the end of this year, beginning of next year-ish, whether we like it or not. Because chips is really the limiting factor this year. August 19th. Thank you, Mimi. Appreciate that. And digital. Let's see here. Photo booth, have we bottomed out or we're going to 600? Very well could go to 600. I saw a lot of puts be put on today. Sorry, the repetition there. I saw a lot of put action come in for June 600 strike on puts. I'm going to go, when I go home, I'm going to take a look at the orders and see how heavy they were. I'm going to look on Tradie Ticks. But if they're coming for the June 600 strike and they're coming above the ask and they're sweeping those, I mean, I guess we'll see how strong the options order flow is. Lee is a battery guru. Oh, yeah, exactly. He is. William says Teslas at some point will become too cheap to ignore. However, could be a choppy couple of months. Holding 700 is key, in my opinion. Hey, I agree for the most part. Exactly what you just said there, William. Again, I think flatlining and holding 700. Man, how low has our bar gotten? But yeah, I mean that's probably key. But again, we're probably going to see a morning drawdown one of these weeks where we see a huge wick down like we did in middle of February, and it probably catches a bid and closes a green. We're probably going to see one of those days before we see a trend reversal. By the way, does anyone remember that we actually hit $1,150 a share this year? And that was in March. Did we all forget that? Because I did. Middle of February, we hit $691. And then we hit 1150, and then now we're sitting here back at 700. So, Jonathan says, "Can we just say this whole Twitter bot thing is a ploy to renegotiate Twitter offer given market crash?" Probably is. I don't know the legalities of it. I know everyone's saying, "Oh, he can just pay $1 billion and get out of it." I really don't think it's that simple. I think you can sue for punitive damages because of the market shift since then. But again, what do I know? I'm an idiot. Sweet Hunt, how's it going? Hey buddy from Sweden, appreciate that. Back to 1200 soon, Sancho says. I appreciate the optimism there. Awesome. Hey, awesome. Thanks for all 400 people joining at like 3 minutes notice. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully the audio and the video wasn't too bad, but I thought I'd just go live wherever I was and start instead of trying to make a perfectionist video out of it all the time. So again, recap announcement. So tomorrow I'm interviewing Dan Ives. Any questions for him, shoot me on Discord if you're a Patreon or channel member. Leave in the comments down below, whatever it might be. For Dan Ives, I'll pre-record that. I'll probably have the first draft out for limited access to Patreon and channel members to begin with. And then I'll probably publish it out Friday. Remember, Friday I'm still going to go live for Power Hour. And then next week, I'm going to have Lee from Tesla Economist channel on YouTube, which I'm sure everyone follows here on as well. We're going to talk a lot of things, 3680s, options, a lot of questions have come in for Lee as well. So thanks to everyone that tuned in, all the super chats, all the likes, comments, hearts, whatever it is on YouTube. Marco, how's it going? Nice to see a live stream. Yes. And remember, tomorrow we're going to have one. Wait, tomorrow's Friday, right? Man, it's just one of those weeks. Tomorrow's Friday. Yes. Okay. I don't even remember. All right. Much love. I hope everyone's doing well. Take care, everyone. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.